Welcome to my lecture on Chapter 8 of Mortimer Adler's How to Read a Book. We'll discuss coming to terms with an author. Here's my outline. We'll discuss first words versus terms, then finding the key words, technical words and special vocabularies, and finally finding the meanings. So words can have multiple meanings. If you look up any word in a dictionary, most likely there will be more than one meaning listed. But when a specific meaning is given to a particular word by an author, we would call that the author's term. So there's a difference between a word and a term. A word can have multiple meanings, whereas a term is a word that is used unambiguously. It only has one particular meaning. So poetry and fiction, they're not nearly so concerned with the unambiguous use of words as expository works. And that might be where the strength of poetry and fiction, where that lies, because they are not, it allows for some creativity there. Whereas with expository works, part of the goal for an expository work is not so much creativity, but clarity. And if you are continually shifting the meaning of your words, then the readers can be very confused and unsure of what you're trying to say. So rule number 5 of analytical reading, when you're reading, you need to find the author's important words, and through those important words come to terms with the author. What does it mean to come to terms? To discover the author's terms. So how do you find the key words? There are key words in a book. Some words are more important than others. And how do you know which ones are important and which ones are not as important? Well, those that the author uses in a special way are key. Those that the author uses as, quote unquote, the man in the streets does, those are not key. So the author might use the word the author might use the word chair, the author might use the word because, and he might be using these in the same way as we would use those words in conversation. So those are not his key terms. The key terms are the words that he uses in a very particular way, a way that you couldn't just pick up on without the author's special definition. Okay, so you can't locate the key words without making an effort to understand the passage in which they occur. So locating the key words in a particular passage is a matter of understanding the passage or recognizing the context. So if you see a word and you're not sure whether it's key or not, you need to make an effort to read the entire passage and pick up on how this word is being used within the passage. Is it a very particular way, unique unique to the author, or is it just a sort of humdrum everyday way of using that word, a way that we all use that word? And that'll tell you the difference between a word that's key and a word that's not. So technical words and special vocabularies. Here are some tips for spotting the important words. One, the author might explicitly stress a certain word through italics or quotation marks or something like that, bold print. But if not, you may locate them through your prior knowledge of the subject matter. Perhaps it's a chemistry book and you're very familiar with chemistry. Then when you come across a particular word, you're going to know whether it's a technical word or just a common word of everyday parlance. 3, the author's title, chapter headings, and preface may be useful here as well. Perhaps the author has key words in the title. I mean, think of Adler's book, The Classic Guide to Intelligent Reading. Intelligent reading, I think, is a key term in Adler's book, and he discusses its meaning within the pages. If authors quarrel over a particular word, it's probably a technical one. If an author has a quarrel over a particular word, it's probably a technical one. So let's see. The author is saying, well, Smith uses this word in this way, but I disagree with that usage. I think the word should be used in this other way. Okay, here they're arguing over a technical word and how it should be used within the discipline. So if you have that sort of quarrel, that's a good indication that you're dealing with a technical word. So once you find the terms, well, now you must discover their meaning. So you've located a word, you see that it's one of the author's terms, but now you need to discover the meaning. How do you discover the meanings of terms in a book? Well, by discovering the meanings of all the other words in the context. Okay, so like I said, you take the context of the passage in which the word or the term is used to discover its meaning. And here it's just observation and interpretation. So you're observing how it's used and you're interpreting the way it's used by the author. Okay, some words in a book are used in more than one way, which is tricky, right? So you might have a technical term that's used in a different way in different places in the book. So you should, one, determine for any given technical term whether the author is using that term or word in a single sense throughout the book or more than one sense. Two, if more than one sense, then you must see how they are related, and that's going to help you understand why they're used in different ways. Hopefully, the author has a good idea for why she or he is using this word in different ways in different spots. If it's not a good book, then there probably won't be that sort of intention about using the word in the different ways. Three, see if context helps you find the reason for the shift in meaning. Okay, context is key, right? In reading, context is key. That's the end of my description of this chapter. Hope you're continuing reading the book and hope you're enjoying it.